Good morning, everyone. It is Monday. The sun is starting to come up, as you can see out my window. And I got to get back outside. So I'm in here drinking one more hot cup of coffee. I've got my skillet ready to make some breakfast. I'm going to be having eggs and toast and my fruit drink. So that's what my breakfast is going to be. This afternoon, I'm going to make maybe a beef stir fry with a lot of vegetables and rice. So that way, we got a nutritious dinner that we can eat on for a couple of days. I am, I've spoke about the MAGA Christians before, many times before. But right now, I really, really want to get into this because I just watched Heather Gay. She is from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and she also wrote a book called Bad Mormon. And the MAGA Christians and the Mormons have this warped sense of women. And it really, really infuriates me. Joel Webbon, he is a pastor. Go look him up. He has said some of the most horrific things about women and where their place is in our society. And, it's no different than how the Mormons feel about women. It's no different than how, the evangelistic Christians feel about women. But there is room for women to be independent within the church. And the reason they don't want that is because women, they say, are more emotional than men. Joel Webbon says that women should not vote. And he is for women just being wives, mothers, and homemakers. I think that this is a very selfish way to think. I think that if you are a woman who has been a wonderful wife, mother, and homemaker, and you are happy and your marriage is great and your life is wonderful, then kudos to you, because I could not handle it. I enjoy being independent, but they believe that women should be dependent financially, emotionally, spiritually on their husbands. And I can't accept that as being how our country should be ran. I often wonder if the ballroom is actually for the spiritual Christian speakers, because I believe that it's a spiritual advisor who is advising him as an architect on this. So just something to think about. They're building a big old church, basically. It's not a ballroom, it's a church. Just saying. Changing the age of consent. That is to protect men who cannot control their urges. And they always blame it on the women. Well, a man has urges. Keep your unit in your pants, especially around young girls. Young girls 14 to 15 to 16, they're just getting into, hey, I just caught someone's eye. This is where men need to be above that. But they're going to change the age of consent because it's going to let a lot of men off the hook in the church, in Congress, in the wealthy sector. And with the Epstein files, it will alleviate some of the charges to those men as well. I don't know if it will go back to the time that it all happened, or if it will be okay with the time that if this age of consent is changed. Same way with Trump wanting to say that domestic abuse is not a crime. Joel Webbon said that if you execute a few women who proclaim rape, then rape claims will stop. Well, yeah, because you're going to kill them. I have a hard time with this. MAGA Christians who want to cover up men's discretions, crimes, sexual deviance, I have a problem with it. Just because I like chocolate so much, when I go into a store, I don't buy it all, or I don't steal a piece, or I don't. No. That it's infantile if you cannot control your urges. You should be held accountable. And men who sexually abuse in the church, they don't have to report it. And as long as that man repents in front of his fellow men in the church, then he's fine. And then they tell the girl, well, you're okay. Everything's going to be okay. He's not going to be there again. No, he needs to be charged with a crime. And she needs to understand that it was wrong, what he did to her. So the cases of sexual abuse in churches is a lot lower because it's not being reported. Now, parents should report the crime. If my daughter came to me at 14, 15 years old and said someone was sexually abusing her, I would not talk to the church. I would talk to police officers, investigators, prosecutors. But that's not how it goes, because these women are so controlled by their husbands in the church that they allow them to take care of it. And they don't. They just cover it up. And covering up the Epstein files has been a serious situation for me, because I absolutely cannot understand how that happens. Why are these wealthy men being covered up? I don't care who it is. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. I don't care what kind of business you are in. I don't care if you control 85% of some sort of business. You need to be found guilty. You need to be put in jail because it was a crime. And Maxwell, oh, I'd like to see her put back into a very horrible prison, if that makes any sense. I don't think she should be in this place where, it's white collar crime kind of things. She didn't commit a white collar crime. She molested, sexually abused, and trafficked little girls to wealthy men for Epstein. What this government is doing right now is absolutely disgusting, against the Constitution, and shows that they don't care about women either. And I'm going to tell you something. We need to stand up for women. And if you are in a MAGA evangelistic church and you see that the tides of women are changing, they're losing their rights, their independence, how can you be okay with that? Even in the church. I grew up in the church. I saw some hypocrisy. But being okay with just letting the church guys take care of sexual abuse that happens is not getting taken care of. I want to do whatever I can and say whatever needs to be said when it comes to the MAGA Christians who are in this cult and are okay with women being abused, being ignored. Because if they ignore the abuse, it doesn't stop. It just goes to a different person. And allowing these men to be with 14, 15, 16-year-old girls without I don't get it. They need to be properly convicted. You know, one day I sat and I read all of the crimes that were like on this republic. It was all the Republicans that had crimes. Do you remember me sitting there reading that? How many of those crimes were sexually related? A lot. What about the guy who sexually raped a mentally disabled woman, little girl, groomed her and then raped her? That was Trump's spiritual advisor. They're getting away with what they shouldn't be. So just think about this. We got a new church being built next to the White House. They're trying to change the age of consent. They're hiding the wealthy men from the Epstein files release. Donald Trump is a self-proclaimed predator, and he is the leader of our country. It's a lot to think about, but I can guarantee you that there will be women always fighting against this, and I will be one of them. Until the day I die, I will not bend the knee to what people think I should be. It will not happen. Y'all have a great day. Hugs from a distance. I'll probably do another video today. I'm thinking about it, but this I wanted to get off my chest so I can go get the rest of my stuff done. Hugs from a distance, y'all. We have to be there for the young girls because no one else is.